without being every day more conscious of ourselves, of our limitations, of our regrets, and if we are afraid, fears, no? So it's so important for that. It's so important that we continue growing and we can make a piece of art of each coaching session that we have. So we talked a lot about this, and you know that I'm working on this with Jean-Francois Cousin, that is also a friend of you. So let me talk about it. And I will ask you if you can help me. Please interrupt me the number of times that you want. This is not a conference, it's just a dialogue. I want to see if again we can make that kind of miracle that after this conversation, you are a little different than at the beginning of the conversation. You can see something that you didn't see before. And sometimes seeing something, it's not so easy because there are thoughts coming on and saying, oh, no, it's not that way. So, or I am confused. No? So just pull up your hand and my friend Jaya will help me and we can talk. So as this is for you, please take all this time and whatever I can give you clearly. Absolutely. So thank you for letting me share my screen. And what is your definition of art? Do you have one? If not, don't worry. Let's see this. Oh, sorry, I did something that is not good. Before sharing, I will. Ahí está. Ahora sí. Look at this and write. Write here in our chat or wherever you want. Right. You are here, or if you start. Why did you see art here? If if you saw art? Somebody wants to talk?
Elena, may I?
Yes, Sumita, for sure.
Yeah, so to me, I think it was in the fluidity of the expressions and gestures. Yeah,
Yes,
that was art, yes.
yes.
So for me, this is Sumita Elena. This was, nothing was right or wrong. It was spontaneous. Uh, it was, it was in the moment, and it was. We can't say it is right or wrong. Everything is good.
It's just an expression,
Yeah.
a present expression of the moment. Thank you, Sumita. Somebody else?
Yeah, for me, Elena, I could feel the tunes in his moments.
Thank you, Sumia. Yes, and let's see. There are lots of definitions of art, lots. But let's see some ideas of what is mastery and what is artistry. Somebody said this, and it's part of mastery and of artistry. It's an effortless and flawless use of techniques, a profound knowledge of the craft. It's an early development of wisdom. And look at this. Well, this man is Pablo Picasso. And he said this. It took me 5 years. Sorry, I can't move your pictures. It took me 5 years to paint like Raphael, but a lifetime to paint like a child. How can I have that purity? How can I be so innocent to paint what I see? So probably the difference between mastery and artistry is that artistry is anchored to your mastery. So Picasso did learn to paint a duck, to paint a cat first, and then he created a new version of a cat. So it's anchored in the mastery, but has more to do with the being than with the doing. Unleashes your imagination. Doesn't look for perfection, for correctness. And it is original and distinctive of you. Is remembered over time because it's also an inspiration. So let's see a little more to see if you can agree. Pablo Neruda, that was a poet, said, they can cut all the flowers, but they cannot keep spring from coming. And with this, what he's saying is, when you discover your own art, when you are ready to give from love the best of you, that thing that is original, that is pure, it's impossible trying to hide it. It will appear always. It's always there. So how can we see artistry in coaching? Artistry appears when nothing of who you are holds you back. When you stop being a product designed by your own upbringing. For example, when I listen to conversations, I'm sure that Jaya has the same experience, and people says, well, just trust me, this is absolutely secret. You can talk whatever you want, and you say it like this. And you think that you are creating trust and intimacy. That's not true. Because are not the words. It's who you are. How can you bring that gift? How can you share what you see in a way that because of love, you are giving your truth, your art? When you create a space where others can express and become who they aspire to be. And I'm always imagining, because I even felt it, it's like if we were with my client inside an egg, I sometimes I thought that I couldn't move, because if I move, I was breaking up that cover of energy. We were one. It was a we, not a client and me. We were one. But the client is also the artist and is reinventing his or her own life. Is in charge of that. Is coming from love. Is thinking really what he or she wants. And something that already happened to me, and I'm sure to some of you, at the end of the session, I want to ask my client, who has to pay to whom? Because it's so much what I learned, how I am transformed by my client, that there's a big thank you in the middle of it.
What is the message that you most want people to receive?
I want them to free themselves, and I want them to be proud of who they are, and I want them to celebrate all the things they don't like about themselves the way that I did.
Really encourage people to look into the darkness and look into places that you would not normally look to find uniqueness and specialness, because that's where the diamonds are hiding.
The greatest piece of advice I've ever received. It is, if you don't have any shadows, you're not standing in the light.
Well, let's begin talking about this. What are we hiding? What are we hiding? What are we hiding because we think it's not enough of ourselves, or because it's wrong, or is inadequate, or we don't know if it will be accepted? Because culture brings us to an average, brings us to be something close to the others. Art is the opposite of that. Art says, bring your originality to the front. Bring the best of you. Bring your gift, your uniqueness to the front.
What is the message that you
So when Michelangelo Buonarroti was asked, he had that big piece of marble in front of himself, and somebody saw this finished and asked him, how could you imagine this from that piece of stone? And he said, only removing the unnecessary to free the angel within. Isn't it incredible? So let's see another differences that we need to talk about in this conversation. We always ask about commitments because most of us need to work from commitments and to accomplish the commitments that we have with our clients. But we never ask for their concerns. What is a concern? A concern is something so important that is always cared by any decision that we take. Concerns had to do with the most important things that you care about in life. So when we say, I was wrong when I took this decision 20 years ago, please ask yourself, what was your concern in that moment? And you will see that the decision was taking care of that. Concerns is much deeper than a commitment. Concern has to do with what you care in life. And we don't ask this question. What is your concern about this? What are you taking care in your life when you're trying to take this decision? I don't know if I'm being clear. Are there questions, something that I can clarify, something that you want to say? No?
I think, Elena, if you could,
Anand.
if you could take maybe an example when it comes to the commitment and concerns that you just spoke about, a little more
Yes.
on this. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Anand. Thank you for your question. Let me tell you a story that I had having a coaching session. I was coaching a VP, international VP of an international Japanese company. He was an Argentine living in Mexico, managing all Americas for a company of telephones. And he was one of the greatest in the company. And he was always achieving the results, but he was so accelerated that he was not giving time to his team. So that was why they called me for coaching. And we had 3 or 4 sessions, and he was really open and talking, but always in a hurry and talking a lot. In the 3rd session, the phone rang and he said, sorry, here's my boss. My wife is calling. I have to answer. And he answered the call from his wife. And he began talking. and said, "Oh, yes, dear." But his faces were like this. "Oh, yes, dear. Yes, yes, yes. I will. I will. Okay, my dear." He hung up the conversation and told me, "I'm so tired. I arrive at home so tired that I only want to sleep. I don't want to see her. I don't want to see the kids. And she's bored. I understand, she left the family. She left her friends. She's in another country. She always accompanies me. And she's creating another dinner." And I looked at him and I asked him, "What do you want in your life? What is the important thing that you care about?" And it was a very, very long silence. And he shook his head like, "I will leave this world," and continue talking about his team. 2 months after that, he had a meeting in Argentina with the boss that was coming from Japan and the other VPs of the world. And he told me, "I will not be in December and I will come back at the beginning of January because I will stay there because of the family and blah, 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 blah." At the beginning of January, he was not calling me. So I called him and he said, "Oh, yes, yes, Elena, and I want to see you. You know, I'm leaving the company." Leaving the company. "Yes, I quit. And that's because of your question." I said, "What question?" I couldn't remember that. He said, "Well, let's meet this day." I went to the meeting and he told me I was standing up, giving my results to everybody. And in a moment, the number was great. And my boss said, "Oh, that's great. Let's see if you can measure something else." And when I heard more work, I had like a big cloud in front of me. And I told him, "I want to talk with you." He said, "My life passed in front of me like in a film. I remembered your question, and I don't know how I took the decision." When I had the conversation with him, I told him, "I want to quit." He said, "Why are you quitting? You are the best. You are acknowledged. You will have a big bonus." And he said, I in that moment thought, I have the money for me, for my kids, and probably a little more. I don't need money. I am away from my family. I am not enjoying my kids. I'm not enjoying my life with my wife. I'm not enjoying my parents that will die because they are old. My wife is not close to her parents. My kids are growing up without having a relationship with the nieces. I don't need this work. I don't need this stress. I want to accomplish what is important for me. One question, Anand. One question that was not answered in the moment. The company gave him an award and gave him the possibility of continuing with the coaching sessions, talking about himself and his future. I was paid until the end. He put that in part of his negotiation.
Thank
Do
you.
you see the difference?
Yeah. What do you care about? Absolutely.
Yes. What is important for you in your life? What do you care about?
Yeah.
That is concern. Sumita, you put up your hand. Is that true?
Yes, I did. But I think I understood it very differently, Elena, before you told this story. And what I was understanding was that what am I concerned about is the intention. Is about uh, so if I care about my family, so my intention becomes that I want to lead a happy life with my family, and that is often forgotten. So your question when you share this story brings back the intention that the way I want to live.
Yes. And because you are great coaches, when you ask this question and you come from your heart or from your guts, remember always that concern is always attached to an emotion. So that should be present. Commitments, lots of times, come only from your head, from your brain. It's a must do. It's not a must be. Something else? Okay, so can we continue? Yes?
But to the doubters, the naysayers, to everyone who gave me hell and said I could not, that I would not, that I must not, your resistance made me stronger, made me push harder, made me the fighter that I am today, made me the woman that I am today. So thank you.
So here's another thing. Sometimes, and it's normal, we feel like pity. We suffer because our client is suffering. And suffering is always growth, always, if you can see it. We suffer because we cannot see something. When we see it, we are transformed. So how can we see pain as a teacher, as a master? So the value that our client gets comes from who we are with them. Probably with this of intimacy, coaching brought something new to the world. Intimacy. We always thought that intimacy was talking about how was your day, if you like the food, just holding hands. Intimacy has a lot more to learn about it. It's how we accept fully the other one. Even when we are afraid of that space of not knowing. Because when we are afraid of not knowing, and we want to stop. Even if we don't say it, we do it in the context. And we close the opportunity of freedom for our client. So who we are also means be free. Don't be afraid of showing anything. Everything is beautiful in you. And if you do that, you will get to this other point. That's why, as we are the tool for coaching, we will never finish of shaping our tool. We have to work on ourselves all our lives. Because how do we know ourselves? How do we know our changes? How do we know where we are? And also, how do we know the world where we live in? Also makes our client choose us. The size of our world has to do with the size of the world of our client. And when the world of our client is bigger than our world, the client will go, will not stay with us. Sometimes our question make our world, the client's world, so small that will not serve our client. That's the reason why we need to study a lot and learn a lot about cultures. Be in contact with other cultures. Be in contact with other ways of thinking. Be ready to be curious about human beings. Be curious about yourself, because you are always changing in something. So this is a work that will never finish, because creates consciousness. Let me see if there are questions until here, or I'm talking too strange or not interesting. Please let me know. Here I am. No? Yatish.
Hey, Elena. Thanks. I think this has been very profound. And I think you tried also explaining the last statement on the slide. Can you please elaborate when you say the size of your world the size of the world that you're offering your client has to be bigger than their own world? I know it is very metaphorical, but can you give some indication of how to get a grasp of that statement?
Yes, for sure, Yatish. When the kind of challenges that you had in your life are too small, when you are afraid of taking challenges, what do you think you will ask to a person that wants to create something to go to the space? Or, for example, in Minus Valid, I had this, really, I work with blind people. And these blind people told me, we take pictures. What are the first thoughts that come to you when you listen to that? That a blind person is taking pictures and saying, I want to compete and go to a competition of pictures in the world. and you begin thinking you need help. No? What is the work that you have to do with your own fears, with your own limitations, with your own beliefs, to really think that that person can win? One of those blind persons took an incredible picture. It was a leaf, big leaf, and there was a snail walking on the leaf, and he just took the snail walking in the middle, no, of the leaf. And the person was admiring the picture and asked him, "And how did you know that the snail was there?" And the man answered, "I heard the snail moving." Can you hear that? Because if not, possibly there's something to learn. I had the experience that changed me a lot. You know that there's a phenomenon, natural phenomenon in Mexico, that once in the year, in October, November, beginning of November, ending of October, the butterflies are coming, monarchas butterflies, are coming to one place. And in one night, they fill up the trees. Sometimes the branches fall down because of the weight of the butterflies. But when you get the silence, the inside silence that you need, you will listen the noise of the butterflies moving her wings or its wings, and you will feel the wind produced by their wings. What kind of silence do you need inside to hear that? Jatish, I went there, I don't know, 10 times. I could do it 3. The other ones, I couldn't. So there's a kind of knowing yourself and knowing how to experience some things. And for that, you will never finish. And on the other hand, there is understanding a word, understanding other cultures. I always say to myself, Jatish, why the CEO of Google, not the CEO from Mexico, I already coached him. No, no, no. The CEO, the worldwide CEO from Google, doesn't call me to be his coach. I think it's because his world is still bigger than mine. He's seeing things that I can see. He's seeing possibilities in the world that I'm afraid of, that I can't imagine. So that wake up to the world, like how can you change a culture in a country? Did you think about that? How can you change a culture in a country? There's a book, very interesting, a Nobel Prize, that wrote a book about changing the culture in China. from the old story of China, from the 80s to 2008 or something like that. And they changed the culture several times, from being an honor being poor to being an honor being rich, from leave your field, it's too small for you, I change it for an apartment and go for something bigger, get more money, live in a city. It's so interesting. How can you work with millions of people and change the way they perceive the world, change the values, change the rules? So those are only examples because we can talk about this all the day long, no? Another thing, for example, working with cultures. I worked with indigenous people, Yiddish. And even using the same words, we are saying different things. For example, one woman told me, I don't know how these people that are tourists are giving money to this woman, and she is rich. And I saw a woman that was sitting on the floor with the baby. She was feeding the baby. And she was barefooted. And she said, how do you know she's rich? And she told me, look at the skirt. It's black, it's from wool and very thick. That means they used a lot of wool. The threads are too long. And it has some, if you see it's shining, it has some kind of metal included. And I said, but she's barefooted. Yes, they are barefooted because women should be barefooted to be in contact with earth, because there's the queen that could make them have kids. I couldn't understand that. Another time, working with indigenous people, this was in Argentina, close to the north, in the forest, in the Amazonic forest. The government hired me to work with some indigenous group called Quom. And there was a kid. I visited the school, and the teacher prepared the books. She was very, very intelligent and dedicated to the kids, prepared the books. I'm talking about 30 years ago, 1 page in Quom, 1 page in Spanish. So she was beginning the class, and a kid came on to the class, and she said, again, you are late. And this kid answered, no, not my teacher. I just woke up and came. Can you listen the difference? The difference is in the interpretation of time. For us, time is seen in a watch, in a clock. For him, time is how you use your time. If I wake up and go to school, there's no late, because I didn't use time for anything else. You get that walking the world. Do you see this, Jatish?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Sumita, your hand was up.
Yeah, thank you, Elena. This was really profound, and the way it landed on me was like we always have to expand our container of awareness, of consciousness for the clients to kind of grow bigger and expansive, so that they don't feel like a shark in a small tank.
Yes.
And this was
Yes.
beautiful. This was really beautiful. It's never ending. It's so expansive. It's never ending. Yeah.
It's never ending. You're always learning. You are always surprised.
Yeah.
No?
Thank
So being in that space makes you grow. Hmm? If your dream can't hold inside the dream of your people, they will not go for it. This is something very clear when you are in a company working with a team. The company has a vision, but the question for the employees is how your own vision of your own life, what you are taking care of, can be accomplished through the company. If that couldn't be held there, they will not go for it. This is a law. You will always try to accomplish your concerns. And the other one is simplicity. Don't be full of rounds to say anything. Just be simple. And you know that because that's very Oriental. So let me move this. Albert Einstein said, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. So it's part of our job in creating future to make people aware of this. Can we see beauty even in the suffering, in the pain? Can we see beauty in the other one? Can we see beauty in intelligence instead of trying to fix something with our client? Get to a result. Results are produced by who you are. So is the size of the other one so big that those results come up? That's our work. So this is all I brought today. This is what are we working in this course that we call the journey from mastery to artistry with Jean-François Cousin. And I had this honor and this generosity from my friend Jaya that invited me to share it with you. Jaya, how are you?
Thanks, Elena. I think the whole idea of artistry, what I understand so far is, or the mastery is really cultivating the deeper being in yourself, right? You're meeting yourself completely, fully, and translating that into your coaching work. And that's my takeaway from your conversation. I mean, I would still take a few minutes of silence to ask some more questions in the room. I think there's a lot all of us have to absorb and see what's coming up for all of us. Anything that comes up for any of us when you hear this. What does it mean to be an artist as a coach or coach as an artist? What does it mean to work on your being? How does it look like on a practical world outside? Why are we even talking about artistry and mastery? What is the connection of coaching with mastery? All that. And where are we? What's my path? Yes, Neha.
Hi, Jaya, and thanks, Elena, for such a wonderful session. So, Jaya, I think you summed it up beautifully at the end, the gist of the session today. And for me, it's a reminder again to connect with my deeper self. I think we are all on that journey, and like someone mentioned, it's never ending. So it was a good reminder to seek out new experiences, to be open to what comes our way, and drop the judgment that we have. It's something very difficult, but a great reminder nonetheless. So thank you, both of you.
Thank you. Elena, there's a question in the chat box saying what practices we can do to enhance the artist among us.
Before the practices, it comes to see it. What I can say is work on that. We have this course that will begin in the end of April, beginnings of May. So if you want some information, just write me through my friend Jaya. She will tell me, and I can give you more information about it. It will come people from all over the world, and you will learn there all that. Pragati.
Thank you, Elena, for such a wonderful session. Still absorbing a lot of what you said. Just a small question. I heard you saying that our world has to be bigger than our client's world. Only then we can be their coach. And I also heard you saying the importance of silence in the example that you gave, where a blind person could click a picture of a snail. I'm just wondering, is there a connection there? The bigger our world is, does it mean it has to be more silence inside of us? Does that what bigger world for us signify as a coach?
It's part of it. When you expand your world, when you can see more in the world, probably you can be more in silence sometimes. I also meditate. It's in my way. Yes, meditating is, for me, being a witness of my thoughts. Probably I can't get more than 2 or 3 seconds of really silence. Yes, but can we manage our own anxiety in front of a client? Sometimes we try to be intelligent. Sometimes we ask questions where we have an answer. Sometimes we want to blow in his or her ear an answer of the question that we made. So, can we trust? And that's another conversation, very long conversation about trust. But trust, in the deepest part of trust is existential. Can you trust life? Can you trust that what is happening because of something? Can you be there? Just be there. So it's a lot of things around this about the silence when you listen to a question. But always remember that that silence means you're trusting. Sorry, a daughter is calling me. Laura is calling me. Are you trusting? Trusting life, trusting the moment, trusting the client, trusting the process. Trust. Just to be in silence, you need to trust. Yes? And sometimes you need some knowledge of the world. You need that. I had a conversation with a coach from Ukraine. And I was astonished. She decided to stay in Ukraine and make a difference. I learned a lot about courage from her. I don't know if I could stay. With kids? How is your conversation with your kids every day? When bombs are falling down close to your house? What is your concern behind that? So if you are ready really to learn, and learning has a lot to do with trust. Because when you are learning, you are always going to the unknown. If you are really learning, you're going to the unknown. So when you are going to the unknown, can you trust yourself? Accept all.
How does that look like, Elena? What does it mean to trust yourself?
Oh my goodness. Trust that you are able to learn. That's it. And that if you are in that position, you have something for you there. It's just taking an opportunity. One more.
And what comes in
Yes.
what comes in our way to trust ourselves, Elena?
Oof, fears, lots of judgments about yourself, about how you have to be. All that is in the middle.
Okay, we're just having more curiosity here. There's one more question there, Elena. It says, our world bigger than clients, this mean coach having perspectives that are larger than that of client? Are we talking about more perspective, more experience, or what?
Let me see where's the question.
Yeah, chat box.
What practices? No, thank you so much for your presentation. Question, our world bigger than clients. Would it also mean coach having perspective that's larger than that of the client? Sometimes it has to do with, are you comfortable without knowing? Are you comfortable without having any answer? Are you ready not to be curious? Ready to awe in front of your client? What's the difference? Curiosity comes from data and it's from our head. But awe has something where you can admire, being humble, and being grateful for what you are saying. So it's a kind of mood that is so important to cultivate. Moods are not emotions. It's the closest thing of who are we being in the world in that moment. Because moods are related to how do you relate to the world. So when you are afraid, you are thinking that the world is bigger than you, or that your client is bigger than you, or that your client knows more than you. So what if we can be in awe? Awe is, oh my goodness, what a gift is this? And as I told you, that it has two components that are incredible. One is humility, and the other one is gratefulness. And I know, because I have to work on that too, has to do with the need of knowing.
So,
We trust
can
our,
I, Elena,
tell
can
me,
I
tell me.
can I say we are not our mood then? This is unique what I've heard today. Moods are not emotions. So can I
No.
say I'm not my mood? I'm not my mood, or my mood doesn't decide who I am.
You know, you have to work on your mood, because moods are in general inherited or learned years ago when you were a kid, because you learn from your parents how to relate to the world. You finish being afraid of the same things that they are afraid. Yes? And the moods, you know 2 or 3 or 4 moods in your life that are the ones that you inhabit. Now, can you be conscious of the mood that you are in? Can you navigate the mood? Know how to get out of that mood? Because moods are also biological. They move chemistry, they move muscles. So it's impossible to say, well, my father used to tell me, just wash your face and that's out. And I was saying, and I was a teenager, that's impossible. I can wash my face, but I can't take out my pain or my suffering or my annoyance. Yes, so how can you navigate that? And ask yourself, what is the mood that would be the best to create this? Because when you are creating that mood, you are creating your way of being and the relationship with the world. And that is why it's so important to be conscious of the mood that you are in when you are, for example, beginning a coaching session. If you just finish fighting with your husband or your wife, and you sit and you said, well, I breathe on and breathe out, and that's it. It's not, that's it. You are there when you are in the coaching session, at least at the beginning. So can we modify that? Can we manage that? Yes, you can manage it, but it takes some time. And knowing how to get out from that mood is very important. Some people need to run. Some people need to meditate. Mine is very stupid. I sit in front of a TV and I see zebras moving and the lion appears. I just change the channel. Yes, because I don't need that. I need that kind of peace and contact to nature, even through a screen. And I get out of my mood. And from there on, I ask myself, okay, what do I want to create with this? So what's the mood that I need? You are creating your way of being.
Interesting. I think we can have a whole conversation on mood and state of being.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. It's so important. It's so important. Heidegger related it with who you are in the world.
Mm.
So we can talk a lot about that.
Interesting. So I'm not going to hold everybody back. Any last questions for Elena before we go? Definitely some curiosity coming up for me. So I'm going to deliberate more on that, especially the mood piece. Pragati?
Yeah, I just have a follow-up question because this mood bit is really kind of intriguing. So Elena, I heard you saying there are some 3-4 moods that typically we would have inherited from our parents. How does one change those for a long term, not just for like a short term, but for a long term to change our way of being?
Well, that's an adult decision. It's a choice. Choice are not always what we like. Sometimes include moments that you will not like. But first of all, acknowledge. Have you seen somebody that is annoyed, and when you get annoyed because they are also contagious and you say, please, I don't accept you being annoyed anymore. And the other one says, I'm not annoyed. He's not annoyed. Yes? So being conscious of where you are. Because it's like if mood is dying the colors of the word, and you think the word is like that. You can't think that it's your way of being in that moment in relationship with it. Mood changes in a coaching session, for example. And it's very interesting to see it. Did it serve you, Pragati? Yes?
Yes, it did. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Elena, are there some resources we can read about this, know more about, definitely this mood conversation and about the world? I think these two perspectives really...
Respect to moods, there's a very beautiful book that is not so big. It's written by, it's Moods and Learning. Let me see the title. It's Learning to Learn and the Navigation of Moods.
Okay.
And it's written by Gloria Flores.
Okay. Well, thank you. I think this is insightful and kind of stopped all of us to just observe and think and reflect as to what's going on right now. Very grateful for taking out time, Elena. Thank you so much for taking out time.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if I'm saying it okay. How do you say pretty?
Preeti.
Pretty. I am still with the question, are you able to see beauty in suffering? My personal life experience that the moment I got dissociated. So reason, a beauty in each suffering. The beauty lies in the pain and suffering of a caterpillar. Beauty lies in a seed. Yes. 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 So thank you, my dear friend. Thank you for your generosity to open up all these people to me. Thank you for listening to me, because I wouldn't exist for you if you were not listening. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And any question that you have, or if you are interested in going on with the subject, please tell Jaya, and Jaya will put you in contact with me. And thank you, Jaya, for your generosity again. You have a great heart.
Thank you. Thank you for making time. Bye-bye.